Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria, and for today's video I am going to be going over 5 of my absolute favorite tropes and giving you 2 recommendations for each of those tropes. I have done this video before where I did it with 5-star reads. I'll link that video down below, but I wanted to do it again, and I also just saw Michae from Oh Hey It's Michae do the same type of video, and so I love talking about some of my favorite tropes, and I made sure to include entirely different books, and some of them are different tropes than I talked about in the last time I did this video, and it's just been a while, so I wanted to do it again. Like I said, I have 5 tropes to go over and 2 books each, so it'll be 10 books that I'll talk about in this video, and I just think it'll be fun to talk about some of my favorite books. So the first trope that I have is small town. I love small town romance. This is more like a genre than a trope, but I'm going with it because I love it so much. In the Weeds by B.K. Borson is a, like I said, small town romance where a heroine and hero sleep together, and then a couple of months later the heroine goes back to the same small town. So the heroine is kind of like an influencer. She has like a blog where she visits places and talks about, she like writes articles about the places that she visits, and she visits this small town, this like Christmas, I think it's a Christmas tree farm actually. It's like this farm on within this small town, and she while she was at the farm she sleeps with a guy that's there, and then she leaves, and this book ends up taking place during a time when the heroine really is just struggling to be comfortable, to be happy. Like, she's visiting all of these places and she just doesn't feel settled, doesn't feel content with her life, and she just needs like a break and just some time to reevaluate and to reassess and to find out what actually like makes her happy, to find her happy place. And so she realizes that the last time she was truly happy was at this farm in this small town, and so she goes back and she stays there, but she ends up, there isn't any like, she doesn't like plan, and so she just shows up, and so there isn't any like place to stay at the like in the town. There's no like hotels or anything, and so she ends up staying in the house of the guy that she had slept with back when she first visited. And this hero, who I absolutely adore, is one of my favorite heroes ever. I talked about him in my top book boyfriends of a 2022 video from last year, and I have to look up his name because I can't remember it, but he is just an utter sweetheart hero. He works on the farm. He's like the farmer on the farm, and he also like collects baby animals, or like animals that don't have homes, which is just the cutest thing ever. And he gives me like Ren Bergman from Always Only You vibes by Chloe Leese. So if you've ever read that book, this hero is very similar. He just has that like utter sweetness about him, and just like wanting Beckett. His name's Beckett. And he just like wants the heroine to be happy, and he just wants people around him to be happy, and he's just an absolute sugar sweetheart who I just adore with all of my heart. And they end up falling in love, and the heroine finds her happy in this small town, and I just love it so much. And I love Beckett, and the heroine, I think his name is Evelyn or Evie or something along those lines, but she just realizes where she's happy, and it's in this small town, and it's such a cute romance, and I absolutely love it. I gave it 5 stars. The second small town romance that I'm going to talk about is Into the Tide by Laura Pavlov. This is the first book in her Cottonwood Cove series. I have loved Laura Pavlov recently, and this Cottonwood Cove series is starting off so freaking good. I've loved both of the first 2 books that are in this, but this is book 1, and it is a best friend's sister romance. So the hero owns a couple of restaurants in his small town. He loves living in this town. His whole family lives in this town. He grew up in this town, and he has no plans to leave. And his best friend's sister, he knew her when they were in high school and everything, but she left the town to go to college, and she is back just for the summer. She has a job in like a different state set up after the summer's over, but for the summer she comes home to her small town, and she ends up getting a job working at the hero's restaurant. And they sort of see each other in like a new light now that they're older and adults, and the heroine and the hero start a sort of friends with benefits type arrangement of a, we're gonna be together while she's home because she knows that she's moving at the end of the summer. But they end up falling in love, and the heroine also ends up falling back in love with her small town. It's so sweet. It's such a great like realization of like what you actually want to do with your life and not what people tell you you want to do with your life. And it's so cute and sweet, and the heroine has like always had to like follow the rules. She's always had like a schedule and things to do and always had a lot of expectations, and the hero ends up helping her when she makes this like list of things that she wants to do that she's never really had the opportunity to do. And I loved it. I thought it was so freaking cute and so good. Try it out. It's so cute. So the second trope that I have is hockey romances. I was originally going to do sports romances, but hockey just is superior in romance. Seriously, the hockey romances are just so much better. Don't know why. It just is. It's a better sport. Their romances are better. I absolutely love them. They're my favorite. So the first hockey romance that I have to recommend is Home Game by Odette Stone. This is part of the Vancouver Wolves series, but you can totally read this series out of order. I think I did. The hero in this one is a new player on the team. He has just been transferred, and he's just like trying to fit into the team. He's trying to stay on this team. He doesn't want to move again and all this stuff. And one day he's out at a coffee shop, and he's trying to do his taxes, and he's super confused, and this girl who's sitting at a table next to him helps him out, and he's like, can you please like continue helping me? And she's like, I can, but I have somewhere I have to be at like this time. And he's like, no problem. But she ends up losing track of time, and she freaks out, and he's like, I'll help you, I'll get you there. But she ends up not making it there on time, and he ends up realizing that the place that she was trying to get to was a homeless shelter that closed its doors at a certain time with no exceptions, so she can't get in. And so he offers to like take her back to his house for the night so that she can just sleep on his couch and all that stuff. And then the heroine ends up having something terrible happen to her, and she ends up staying with the hero in order to recover and be more comfortable and all that stuff. And so the hero kind of like takes care of her, brings her back to his house, and they end up starting to live together and falling in love. And I really, really loved this romance. It was very different than anything that I had read before at the time that I read it, and I think it was so, so well done. I really, really enjoyed it. The second hockey romance that I have is Iced Out by C.E. Ricky. I think it's Ricky. This one is a MM hockey romance. It's also enemies to lovers. It's college age. So the two heroes are both on the hockey team at their college, but they are rivals. They don't like each other, and they've been rivals for a long time, and they end up they're very competitive, and they end up seeing each other at a party and kind of like competitively betting each other and been like, well, I bet you I can like suck your dick better than you can, or something like that. It's like a bet where they're very, very competitive, and they end up hooking up. Not almost less out of like interest and more out of like competitiveness, and like neither one being willing to back down. But they one of them is out gay, I believe, and the other one says that he's straight but ends up having a bisexual awakening, and they end up winning for the first time at their hockey team after they hook up, and they're really superstitious, so they're like, we have to hook up each time in order to win. And it ends up being this really fun plot of them not liking each other but starting to like each other, but hooking up and then playing hockey. And I thought it was so fun and enjoyable read. I give it 4 stars. I think it was really good. But I had a great time with it. The third trope that I have is single dad. This is one of my absolute favorite tropes. And the first one that I have to recommend is Bombshell Effect by Carla Sorensen. This one is a football romance. So the hero is a football player on the Washington Wolves, and he is also a single father. He has a little daughter, and he ends up a woman ends up moving in next door to him, and they sort of butt heads to start with, and then he ends up finding out that she is the daughter of his recently deceased owner of the Washington Wolves football team, and now this woman who's moved in next door to him is the owner of his football team that he plays for, and all sorts of shenanigans go from there because they're living next door to each other. They did not have a great first impression of each other, and then she's also the owner of his team, so he sees her every day, and they end up falling in love, but it's a great romance. I really enjoyed myself. I love the whole Washington Wolves universe, actually. It's like not just one series at this point. It's like a universe with second generation and everything. But I thought this romance was so fun and good, and I really enjoyed it. The second one that is single dad is The One Who Loves You by Pippa Grant. This is also a small town romance, but it is about a heroine whose family is very wealthy, and they are from New York City, and one day her grandmother is chokes on something and almost dies, and has this like freak out moment where she's realizes what a terrible person she's been and what terrible people her family has been for their lives. And so she moves them to this tiny town called Tickled Pink because a long time ago a movie was filmed there that was like the gateways to heaven. And so she moves her whole family to this town and like cuts them off money-wise so that they have no choice but to move to this town with her. And then the grandmother is like, you need to be good people so that we can all get into heaven. And the members of the town are like baffled, but also find it hilarious, but also are also annoyed by the fact that this rich family has moved to town and like tries to join their town. But one of the members of the town is the hero, who has a teenaged, I think she's like preteen, teenaged daughter. And the hero falls in love with the heroine, or the hero and the heroine fall in love with each other. But it's a very grumpy type, reluctant falling in love with each other. The hero is so annoyed by the heroine's family moving in, and the heroine is so irritated. She does not want to be there. She also doesn't get along with her family, so that's like a whole part of it too. But I really liked that the daughter in this one is a, I think it's a daughter. I'm pretty sure it's a daughter. I like that the child in this one is like more grown, so they play like an actual role in the story and not just like a little kid who's just like cute in there. So this one, the child like has their own, like is like its own character, which I liked. But I thought it was really fun, and it's another small town romance. The next category, or next trope that I have, is Grumpy Hero. I was gonna do Grumpy Sunshine because that's my all-time favorite trope, but I did that last time, so I decided to switch it and just do Grumpy Hero this time. So the first one that I have is Managed by Kristen Callahan. This is epitome of Grumpy Hero. I love Scotty. This one is actually a rock star romance, but the hero is the manager of a rock band, and the heroine ends up getting a job with the band. I think she's a photographer. But they meet each other on a plane flying to England, I think, or they're flying to where the band is. And the hero has really bad flying anxiety, and they end up sort of like, they end up sitting next to each other and chatting and like kind of getting through the flight together. The heroine helps really calm the hero's anxiety, which I thought was such a cute moment. But the hero is super grumpy and irritating and like just like not smiley and not happy at all. And the like I said, he's the manager for the band, and they end up all going on tour together. So the band, the hero Scotty, and then the heroine also as the, I think, photographer. But the hero becomes very like not really protective, but like possessive of the heroine, and so he's like, you're gonna stay with me and my truck, and he has his own truck because he's so like particular, and so he just needs to be like in his own space and everything. But he has a lot of anxiety, which I thought was really cute, because I liked the way that the heroine really calmed him, and I just love this hero. He's so fun and so good, and I love this romance in general. The second one that I have is See Me After Class by Megan Quinn. This is a workplace teacher's romance. So the heroine is a new teacher and she gets hired in the English department, and the hero is on like the main board of the English department. He is also a teacher, but he's like on the board of the English department, and he does not want to hire her. But she gets hired anyway, and their classrooms are right next to each other, and the hero is a very structured, strict, old school type of teacher, but the heroine is very young and new and very like, her classes are always very loud and energetic, and she plays videos and she moves around, and there's a lot of like ruckus going on. And so the heroine's classroom ends up really disrupting the hero, and he is such a grumpy asshole, and he's like, absolutely not. He's so irritated by it. The hero is also the heroine's best friend's brother, which is another like part of the story, but I thought it was so funny. And the hero is so like buttoned up. He and Scotty are very similar. They're very like grumpy, but like very buttoned up, very particular, very like structured, and like stoic. And the heroines come in and are chaos, and but also like help, like Scotty and the hero from See Me After Class, whose name I can't remember, are wound very tightly, and the heroines come in and they kind of like unwind them but also calm them, which I just love. I think it's so sweet. The last trope that I have is marriage of convenience. I love a good marriage of convenience romance. I think there need to be more out there. I've not read as many as I want to. So if you have a marriage of convenience romance, let me know down in the comments. But the first one that I have to recommend is With You Forever by Chloe Leese. I love all of Chloe Leese's books. This one is Axel and Rooney. Rooney is a heroine who has sort of taken a break from, I think she's taken a break from school. I think that's what she's done. But she is chronically ill. Rooney has ulcerative colitis, and she is just not feeling well. She's kind of like down, and she just needs a place to go and relax. And so her best friend offers and says, hey, you can go up and stay at the A-Frame, which is this like owned by the Bergman siblings. And it's just this like cabin in the woods, and is like, you can go and relax there. So Rooney goes there, and it's under construction, and nobody knew it was under construction. And Axel Bergman, who lives up there in his own like cabin near it, didn't tell his family that he's like renovating it. And so Rooney has nowhere to stay. She ends up having to stay with Axel. They have a like forced proximity type of element to him because they end up staying together. But the Axel ends up getting a inheritance from a relative, and he wants that money to finish renovating the A-Frame for his family. But in order to get that money, he needs to be married, and so Rooney says, I'll marry you. And so they have a marriage of convenience so that Axel can get the money to finish construction. And it was such a cute romance. I really, really loved it. Axel is very antisocial, and I think he's also autistic, and he's just he likes his space the way it is, and he doesn't like people in his space, and yet Rooney is staying there with him, and she is all over the place. And so they don't seem like they should work, but they do, and I really, really loved it. It's one of my favorites. So freaking good. And then the second marriage of convenience romance that I have is The Bluff by Debney Perry. This one is under her pen name Willa Nash. It's from the Calamity Montana series. And this one is also a single dad romance. I didn't even think of that. This one's also a single dad romance. And the hero in this one he and the heroine have a sort of one-night stand. The hero owns a art exhibit, and the heroine's new to town, and the hero previously was in jail, and while he was in jail, his ex-wife had a baby. He didn't even know about it, and he didn't know about it until he got out of jail, and he doesn't have legal rights to his daughter, but he wants to have custody of her because she hates living with her mom and her mom's boyfriend, who is abusive, but they have no proof of that. And so the hero is trying to get custody of his daughter, and the attorney is like, if you were married or had a female presence in the house, you would have a better shot at getting custody. And so the heroine, after having a one-night stand with the hero, overhears this and is like, I will marry you if you want. And so they get married in order to build a legal battle and get custody of the hero's daughter. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun and good. I liked the heroine's just like complete trust that she is willing to go and marry somebody that she's literally like just met. But I thought it was great. The hero in this one is also fits into that like grumpy hero category because he, like I said, he's been in prison. He doesn't trust people very much, and he's just angry a lot because he doesn't have custody of his daughter. He was in prison. He is just kind of struggling, and a lot of people in town don't like him because he was in prison. But I really, really enjoyed this romance, and I thought it was really fun. So that is the last one that I have. That's 10 books to recommend. So let me know how you feel about any of these books. Let me know if you have any recommendations for me, but that's going to be it for this video. So like it if you liked it, subscribe, stick around, and I will see you in my next video. I hope you have the absolute best day. Bye.